We're live.
That's what that means.
Oh, all right. Um, yeah, so we're doing our a somber recap of what transpired. We saw Rob Manfred just talk about how the season will miss the first few series, first two, so that's about a week of the year. Uh, Disaster, terrible day for baseball fans and really fans of sports in general. What do you think about everything that's transpired in the past week?
Well, first of all, we'll say Steve isn't here. He was so upset he couldn't
Oh
even
yeah,
couldn't even face the camera today.
yeah,
But from what I say, I'm just gonna talk about last night because last night was one of the most delusional nights I have had as a sports fan in a long time. That says stuff as like a Toronto fan, all the other things we believe in. Last night, I actually thought Major League Baseball was on the doorstep of a deal because everything that was coming out, Bob Nightingale, which that guy, what a 180 that guy made in the last 12 hours.
yeah.
Everyone thought that,
He was a joke forever for making incorrect claims. Pretty much every time he tweeted anything or opened his mouth, but he was looking like the savior because he was the only guy putting out news, and the news was all productive. It was like great baseball. I don't know how it
and
happened.
it was in the face of like, cause it was just Heyman for a while who was tweeting all that like it's not looking close, but it's looking better than what you're hearing. Like they're getting a little closer, but most of it was just like a lot of negative stuff. And then Nightingale's like, yeah, they agreed on the playoff stuff, so the big pillar's down, and everyone's like, oh my god, they're actually going to do this. Then it kept going deeper into the night. It's like 2 in the morning. They're still talking. There's like Twitter Spaces on it with thousands of people in it. People are waiting to hear like the official word that this is going to get signed. And then I go to bed eventually. Wake up today. Everything not good. It all starts to unravel again. We see the offers that are being made by the owners. It's no concessions at all being made. And now we're sitting here like we wasted 4 months or however long it's been waiting and waiting and waiting. And then we thought we crammed all this information and all this stuff was getting figured out in a couple days. None of it got figured out at all. We're so far off in like certain areas of this deal, and they let this happen. They let games get canceled. And as far as I'm concerned now, the fact that they've missed opening day, like I don't really give a fuck anymore how many more they missed because it's just like the season's already been compromised.
Yeah, this whole thing was planned by the owners. Did this all on purpose. They did not negotiate really at all for 2 months. Slowly in February, and it wasn't until last week where they kind of tried. But even then, their offers they were never in good faith, as everyone is saying. That's the big term, good faith. It's like really they haven't budged on the major things, and you could say the players to a certain degree haven't either, but I'm
I
not
have a
mad at the
question.
players really because what they're asking for is really not that much. Like the owners could easily do these things and everyone would be happy. But they're really just trying to save a little bit of money, make a little more revenue, and they're willing to miss games for it.
And some people think it's preferred to miss games because
Yeah.
of the way attendance goes in April and
Yeah,
you
that's
know
their least profitable month. They don't care if they miss April.
But why wasn't this stuff presented yesterday? Like, why weren't players? Because we didn't hear much negativity from the player side yesterday, as far as in the media. Maybe that was because they weren't making comments, and because the owners were really trying to flood in, like, "Hey, this is getting better. Tell everyone so that when this comes out that this isn't going well, we look like we've been the ones trying, and they've been the ones not making concessions."
Yeah.
But
They
like
made
even
it seem like the players completely changed their tactics today when they were making the same offers they were yesterday. Because this was their plan to make it seem like, oh, we're making progress and the players stopped it. And it's their fault why we are not moving forward.
it's crazy, and it's I don't know. Like, are we just Argos fans for the summer? Like, what do we do? Like, we're just gonna watch
Well,
TSC?
well, the Raptors are going to have their big playoff run, of course.
Well, we'll see. Yeah,
That'll take us into
it's looking
June.
like a play-in game right now.
Yeah, we'll have that. The Leafs, maybe. Maybe this is their big run too. That'll take us into the summer. I'll start watching games by then. And yeah, so yeah, it might be Argos. But
Yeah,
this is
I feel
arrogant.
so stupid. We're not talking art. I was kidding. I feel dumb because yesterday I was sitting there like, oh, good. Like I was thinking of what we're gonna do next week. We're gonna do a Jays preview. Then we're gonna do a positional AL East preview. We're gonna look at all the teams, and then we're gonna have spring training news, and we're gonna have a bunch of signings in between all that. I'm like,
No, the
okay, we're gonna
signings the
actually.
signings were going to be insane. It would
It
have
would
been
have
like
been
the
the
NBA.
best 2 weeks in baseball offseason history.
Yeah.
Everything it would have. That's the thing that pisses me off the most is if they made that deal last night, the entire lockout with all of the stuff people thought about Major League Baseball would have been forgotten in like a second because it would have been so great just to have all of this stuff start to happen like really quickly. It would have been forgotten so quickly. They could have easily saved this
No,
and made it into
I
a real
was looking
positive.
forward to the free agency over everything, over the
You
games. I
could
wanted
you
to
could
see.
have argued that with the way the free agency was going to happen, it would have been better than a regular offseason because you would have had everything loaded into like, okay, spring training starting, all these moves are happening, everyone's ready for baseball, like the attention's on the game. But instead, you've just now paused it again, and who knows what? Like, when do you think we start now? June?
Well, they're gonna. They say they're gonna continue meetings in like New York, so it probably won't be too long until they start negotiating again. But it's really unless the players completely cave in to what the owners want, it probably won't be for a month at least. But they are going to cave eventually. We know that.
That's
A
how
lot
it
of
always works, yeah.
yeah.
And if they don't get anything out of this, people are going to be pissed because it's going to be like, well, what the hell? We could have
Well,
done
the thing
this
is,
two
they
months ago.
won't. Like, they're not going to get that
A
money.
lot of fans that aren't like as in tune with what's happening are pissed at the players. And I'm not saying that's right. I don't. I think it's basically 95, 99% on the owners right now. But there are a section of fans where this ownership tactic has kind of worked on. So if this ends up going for a few more months, how many more people does that turn into like, oh my God, now it's just, what are we doing at this point? Why didn't you just accept a deal? Like, what are the optics going to look like for the regular casual person seeing this?
Yeah. They just think, it's billionaires and millionaires. I 500,000 for me. That's a very long time. These guys should be lucky. They should be happy they get to play a game for money. But that's just they know what they're worth. The whole game is the players are who you come to see.
Well, you don't know, owning a baseball team, not very profitable. That's what I was told.
No, you have to think about how much they're paying out the stadium staff. I guess that evens it out or whatever.
We have to pay for some kid to bring nachos to people. Like that's the tough part of it.
Those
These
guys are
players just
making
get to
so much
play.
money. Yeah, not
But
the people who make money for you, the players. It's uh, it's like it's really common sense to me, and it's been like that for a long time in my mind. But people still, mostly old people, who don't watch baseball, who think the game revolves around it's only won by the teams that spend the most money, and having like people just have it in their mind that the Yankees and Dodgers win the World Series every year.
yeah, it's because they don't watch baseball and they
Like
just know
exactly.
those teams, so they
They
figure
just see, oh
those are
wow,
World Series teams.
Mookie Betts' contract. Wow, they've won the World Series. They win the World Series every year now because they've signed big contracts.
And that's the beautiful part about the game is that there's different ways to build a winner. Again, sustainability helps money will help sustainability, but there are different ways to go about different kind of teams win. We see the A's, we see the Rays, we see different types of strategies work for teams.
Yeah,
But like this is the other thing I wanted to get to with this shortening of the schedule this season. Like any short season, I already put asterisks on. This will piss me off with from a Jays perspective. I really thought we were a World Series type team this year. I thought we were going to the AL East this year,
well, I'm more
and
upset.
now
Yeah, the whole COVID, whatever, they couldn't play at home. That's why they didn't make they could have won the division. They would have definitely been in the playoffs.
and it's not even like a homer take to say that. It's literally just like you think we get extra 3-4 wins, then if you
Not
think
enough
that
games.
that's what
No one's talking about this.
no,
Everyone's
but
just like, oh, the Blue Jays, they had their chance. It was level playing. It wasn't level at all. It was bullshit. Last season was bullshit.
like if this turns into like because we were talking about the playoffs last week and Steve disagreed with us he pretty aggressively was on the opposite side of us on this because we were saying how like I thought even 10 right now is like pushing to be too much. Like I don't want it to be watered down. I think the beauty of baseball is that like the elite of the league get in and you play so many games so you really know who the elite of the elite are. And now we're looking
That's what.
at
Yeah.
what are you saying?
I was agreeing with you.
Yeah. So like now we're looking at like okay, 12 teams would have been the concession that I think that was what everyone was talking about last night. Fine, two bye weeks, two bye teams. You could have it would have been fine. It wouldn't have been what I
I
wanted,
don't
but it
know.
would have been
That's
fine.
something we could have gotten used to, but I wouldn't have liked it.
Well, the problem with that was you mentioned before the podcast, it wouldn't even just been that. Like there was going to be 14 at some point. You were saying how there was the ESPN deal that was basically in place to make this a 14 team like pretty much a certainty going forward in baseball.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's
that's like
like
it's like it was the big bargaining. The only real bargaining chip the players had was the playoffs, but they have been against so far. They've been heavily against a 14 team playoffs, which they should be. That is something that would make me stop watching baseball.
actually,
Well, the regular season anyway. Like, why would I? What's the point?
yeah.
I just tune into the Blue Jays every now and then, but I just know they're a playoff team. It's
And that's
stupid.
what a lot of people, yeah. And
I
this is
can't.
what they're trying
That's
to
an
make it
idea
like.
I cannot get behind at
They're
all.
trying to make it like the NBA with like, okay,
And
who cares what the regular
it
season? We're
sucks
going
in
to
the
make the no. The NBA is an off-season and playoff sport. There's no regular season at anyone.
regular.
Like even watching the Raptors, like okay, like I can miss a few games, and I'm like it's still just we're in the slog of the regular season. Baseball, it's an everyday thing. Even like I guess we got to speak more from casual fans because we're aggressively passionate baseball fans.
No, that's
So
like, yeah, I get it. From the casuals fan would be, it's like better for these teams that normally wouldn't make the playoffs because you'll see all the tweets, all the whatever, all the promotion. Oh, look at the Angels. Look at Mike Trout with this home run in the playoffs when it's really like they're the 10 seed playing the 1 seed. Like that's the kind of thing people would pay attention to. Like, yeah, most of these NBA fans, they aren't even watching the games. They just see it on social media and they're like, oh, wow, LeBron's the GOAT. Like that's basketball discourse. And
yeah.
now I guess they want baseball to be like that. I don't want it
They
to be.
want baseball to be like that, but they don't want to allow any of the good parts of basketball, like the how free use their highlights are, and people are able to like share their content. Like the baseball doesn't want that part of it. They just want
No, they don't. They just
an
want
expanded
people
playoffs,
saying,
and
oh, you know, Trout's the GOAT, Otani's the GOAT. That's where we want and MLB to go. We want to
yeah,
cater to
they
the people who
want
aren't
like
going to watch.
first take conversations about baseball. You notice how like programs like First Take and whatever the shows on ESPN are now, they don't talk about baseball much because they don't have those kind of like, oh, this insert player is the goat. Let's talk for an hour about it. Like other sports kind of have that where you can waste time talking about that kind of thing. Baseball is so pure. Well, in essence, it should be where you just watch every day and you're watching the team. You have so many different parts of it. There's like way more things to talk about where it isn't just like basic stupid conversations.
Yeah,
If that makes any sense, like I feel like they're trying to dumb the game down. Not like in a way of like analytics obviously getting the game's getting smarter, but like as far as the fan experience,
yeah,
like the
yeah,
consumption
because
of the game.
they think of it as like, who cares about 162 games? No one has the attention span for it. But you want to play a ton of games anyways, like 150 or whatever games. Have 14 of the 30 teams make the playoffs, where like 8 of them are not good. Like they're really shouldn't. That's the thing. Is like it's about earning it. Okay, you got to earn the chance to win the World Series. You shouldn't be given that for free. Because we know in baseball, especially this proposal where they have 2 buys and then everything else is a best of 3. You know how crazy that is?
I had a solution for the playoffs that
Like
I
to
brought
say,
up.
oh, I don't know, this year, what would it have been? Who was third in the American League? The
We
White
were
Sox? Or
no,
like
we
as
were.
far as, I guess it
Oh,
goes by
like third
division.
wild card.
No, third division winner.
Oh yeah, White Sox.
So the White Sox would have had a best of 3 with the Blue Jays, which isn't that crazy. The National League example would be crazier. It would be the Brewers would have played the Phillies in a best of 3. Like why? Why did the Phillies get that chance? They won like 11 fewer games. But yeah, say you're a great idea. I would
Well,
say
my great idea because if you're gonna make this an arcade bullshit playoff anyway, you make the wild card like the Champions League, which is where you just have two legs. You get both teams a home game. You play a home game. If the score is 6-4, you carry the score to the next game, and you play it from there. That's what you do. If you're gonna make it stupid anyway, make it
That's
really
a way
stupid.
better idea.
Like
Way
make it
better
aggregate.
idea
Who
than.
cares?
But I've heard other people say this, but the team with the much better record should have a huge advantage. It should be like the ghost win idea that was brought up. It sounds crazy, but you're already making the playoffs stupid. So you should make it a situation where a team like the Phillies, 82, 83 win Phillies, would have to really earn a victory into the next round. It shouldn't just be level playing field. They both get home games. It shouldn't be like that at all. But
No. But they do. It's a way of selling it. They just want the games, they want the teams, and you want the markets to be interested in playoff baseball. And I don't know. That's not even the concern. We're talking too much about that right now. We should probably talk more about
well,
like.
I'm heavily. That's my biggest concern.
But like, I wish that was the biggest problem we had today. I figured that was what the show was going to be. I'm like, okay, we have a deal, but like now we're going to see where baseball goes from here in the future, in the playoffs, all this stuff. We have so many more problems right now that like, where do you think? We have a good question here. What's your ideal playoffs?
My ideal playoffs.
Like, if you were the god of baseball, which you think you are sometimes, but if you could institute any kind of playoffs, like obviously what they had back in the day with the, just winning the conference or winning the league, that's you want a little bit more fun than that. But what would your ideal situation be?
I kind of like it the way it is now. I don't think they should. That is a very good question. My ideal playoffs. I honestly, well, it
No, I
starts
think
with
you should keep today. Keep this wild card with the same amount of teams and do the fucking aggregate. If you're gonna, I'm actually all about that idea right now. The
I
more I think about it, it's so stupid, but it
like it
kind
the
of
way
kind
it
of makes sense.
is. I like it the way it is now, but I want them to balance the schedule. That's top priority for me. I don't know why no
That
one talks about that in Major League Baseball. That's the biggest issue outside of really. I think it's a big issue in baseball in general.
Yeah, if you added the extra wild card, so let's say you add the three wild card teams, whatever. If the schedules were more balanced, I think it wouldn't be that bad as it is now because you look at last season. Look at the schedule the Jays played. Look at who we had to play versus like the Central
Well,
versus the.
the fact we're so like married to the division idea when
But when they add more wild cards, it gets rid of the division concept, and they're not even really
it's not a
benefiting to win
level
the
playing
division.
field. It's not a level playing field as it is today.
And they're adding more wild cards, and they're making the divisions mean less. So like, why is the schedule still like that? Like, if you're going to add playoff teams, whatever, change the schedules. I don't even think it's just about making the playoffs, like adding teams, like what's the perfect amount. Yeah, you're right. It's mostly about the schedule because
I think it would be way more interesting. You'd play different teams. Like it's bizarre that we don't play every team. Like at
yeah,
least
and
once
it's
or twice. Like why not?
like in the Premier League, it's like it's different, obviously, because it's not like divisions. You play everyone twice. You play a home and away game, and I don't know if you can make that work exactly as far as playing every team evenly, but you should probably be able to play every NL team every year, right?
Like
And
it'll
have a
already
series a
there
year.
will be a certain amount of you play your division more obviously. Like not as much as it is now where you play everybody 18 times where it makes no sense. Like I would like the
No,
Jays to go play the Giants.
and then the random rotation they have of like NL teams. Like, do you even know the actual science behind the rotation they have for when we play
Um,
certain NL teams? And
well, it used to just be you'd play the AL East would play the NL East, but now it's just completely random. I think.
yeah, that was the lockout year where it was because they wanted to keep everyone on the same side of the
Yeah, but
country.
in
It was
general,
like
even
East and
before
East.
that, it was like interleague baseball would almost entirely be you would just play the other team that's
Yeah.
closer. And again, that was unfair too.
Yeah.
See
So
that
like,
needs to be fixed before everything. I'm kind of just you can kind of wipe out divisions to me as for the playoffs. I don't want like the Giants and Dodgers were both 100-win teams. I don't think one of them should have played in a one-game playoff. It doesn't make sense. I think you should just either remove divisions entirely and just sort it by seed, by overall record, and then just go from there. Um, I think that's where it should go. I don't like the idea of. I know winning the idea of winning the division is great. You beat the guys you played the most, so you should earn something. But you shouldn't earn like that much if if it only takes 90 wins.
yeah. And these are such secondary issues. It's such a disaster right now. That way,
And they're
it's
not even.
like
No one's talking about this. They're just talking
no,
about the
it's
shift and pitch clock. I don't care about that.
the pitch clock is like it's not. It doesn't work. Did they
What
try that? Like it doesn't.
they
They don't
do, but
enforce
like
it.
I don't know, they like barely
They don't
follow it.
enforce it. And weren't they doing this one thing in college now where they're doing automatic where the machines are calling the games for the pitchers, where they're like giving them
Yeah,
a
yeah. So
sign.
they just basically look at their wrist and it tells them what to do, and they do it.
Yeah, which you know, like
That's
how much is
I don't see the benefit of that.
I wouldn't work in Major League Baseball anyway because guys call their own games. And, yeah,
Well, exactly, and that's only going to make it more difficult.
I'm watching the Tim and Friends breakdown right now with Blair and Davidi.
Wow.
The first, so how would they even make? So let's say they start May 1st. Like, do we still play even division games? Like, how does that work?
I guess they have to alter the schedule. There's a lot that
Yeah,
has to change now.
I'm really seeing June now. If I had to make a prediction, and if anyone's watching right now, if you want to make a prediction on when this ends,
No, I
I
don't
would
want
think
there
we
to
play first
be.
games in June.
There shouldn't be like a whole month for them to get ready. I think that's point. I don't think there's a reason for that.
No, I think if they got the deal done today and they had like a 3 week spring training, it would have been fine. I think
Yeah.
overall, no matter how much time you prepare, you have to see live pitching in actual regular season games, and that's how you get into the flow of it. I don't think like pitching or playing an inning or two every couple days in March and going to golf like is that really getting you as ready as the first few months, the first month of the season's already just for getting back in the swing of things. I don't think that a 3 week spring training would have been that big of a deal.
No, no. They should be able to get in there quickly.
By the way, how stupid was the visual last night of just all the people walking back and forth in the parking lots?
Like that was the way they did things.
It just makes me it always like finds little ways to look stupid every time. And that was just another one where it was like, oh, here's another stupid visual. They're just walking back and forth, and it's like they're going to their fort and discussing this, and then coming back with absolutely no clue.
Yeah, just going
And
back and forth and thinking, yeah, well, we're not going to actually do anything. We're just making it look like we're making progress.
and I
Which
like how like
they kind of did on the salary. They made some progress on
well
the
they put the
minimum.
minimum salary a little bit. That was basically it, right?
That was the only thing they
That in the
made
playoffs.
tangible progress on in the playoffs because the players don't have a choice. The players don't want to expand playoffs. And
No.
DH is the other thing that everybody wants. I
Yeah,
wonder what they're saying. I think it's because MLB wants the shift to be minimized.
again, they're dumb. They want to dumb the game down.
They're
It's another
trying to dumb
example.
the game down. I kind of see both sides to that issue,
No,
but
I don't.
I agree. Like, if a guy is doing one thing, why should you allow him to do it? That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, you
Like,
should be able to play defense how you
Joey
play
Gallo is
defense.
going to hit a ball here. Why can't you put a guy? Like, you should be able to do that.
You were having this
And,
conversation with another one of our friends about like beating shifts and going
but
the other
it's hard
way.
to do. That's the other side of it. It's hard to do. But that's on that side of the argument. So every time I go on Twitter, I see Joey Gallo. He shouldn't have talked about it because he just looks like a baby. But it's hard. He's like, why can't I get a double? I can't hit a double. I can't hit a triple because they're standing there. Like, that's really dumb. But I get what he's saying. And the reply saying Tony Gwynn could do it. The best hitter of all time maybe could do it. Like, that doesn't really help your argument. It's
So what are
just,
you arguing?
what am I arguing? I'm defending how difficult it is when you have pitchers throwing 99 miles per hour in on your hands, and the idea to go the other way is not like
Today owners walk out.
you're right.
64%. Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna be canceled, but we're gonna because the players are just gonna cave eventually.
Dude, if it's less than 140 games, it's an asterisk season, in my opinion. Maybe I don't know.
Well,
I'm
I
too
think
much for a
last year for
purist.
the Blue Jays was much more of an asterisk season than any we've come across in a while. And
Yeah, it's the least discussed
it should be.
asterisk of all
Imagine
time.
I know we've talked about this before, but imagine if the Yankees went through that. You know how much
Dude, the
like
Yankees
they
couldn't even
fought
handle.
valiantly.
They couldn't even handle going to Buffalo as a road team a couple of times a year
Yeah,
because the clubhouse wasn't in good enough condition for them. Like we literally had to change our whole operation, and they had
three times.
complaints because they didn't like the clubhouse. They didn't have the amenities they needed. Like if they had that, yeah, they would have completely collapsed. They collapse anyway when they're not even, have everything going their way.
Now, the fact that okay, here's a question. Um,
No,
this is a good
this is Chet.
question.
It's
Um,
on the
I don't know if it
in
is or
this
not.
country or in
I,
total because
people are playing baseball. It's just a
people are
matter
playing.
of like, are they watching it as much as I did when I was a kid? And I would say no. I don't think kids are really watching baseball.
In this country, especially, I think soccer is growing so much faster though. Like I think it's more of a problem with hockey as far as where the youth goes, and that's more because of most parents don't want to get their kids in hockey right now. But in Canada, especially, I think soccer is the one who's taking the big uptick. In baseball,
Soccer
I
and
don't.
like basketball, soccer and basketball.
Basketball too, especially in Toronto. It's just like it's getting way more popular, especially with the Raptors and soccer with the way Canada's going and the way the sport's just kind of being accepted by people. Baseball, the more this happens at the top level though, like Jesse's right, it does affect grassroots a lot more. And I think eventually, I don't know if baseball continues to fuck up at the top level, like you could see from the bottom, everything kind of trickles down. So once starts, you start to have problems at the top, at the bottom. Maybe there's
Like
less
yeah, like
enjoyment
the
for the
younger
game.
generation, they're gonna go on Instagram and they're gonna see, oh look, um, what's a player example? The Mets. Wow, look at what Pete Alonso did in the first of three play-in games. You know, like that's the kind of thing they're gonna see and be like, oh cool. Because just putting playoffs in front of it is gonna make people think it's more important. But then that's just gonna make the rest of the season a waste of time. And that bothers
We're
me.
gonna be such old many iron clouds about this sport for that. I
I mean, I
already,
already am.
we already are doing that. I can't imagine in 20 years when there's like 16 team playoffs and it's just about highlights, it's just about home runs, and we're saying like I remember the game when you used to try to beat a shift, hit the other way. Like we're gonna be the ones
Well,
doing that.
I'm the only one who's against that idea.
I'm talking about me, Steve, and Kyle. It's
You and
basically.
yeah, like going the other ways, it's difficult. Um, I like these commenters. They're doing a good job.
I agree with all of them so far.
They are stupid, greedy owners, and they're ruining my life. I know that, and all of ours.
Well, yeah, it's just like, especially with Toronto, it's like when you go downtown on a summer night, you just go to a Jays game before you do whatever you're gonna do. Like, it's a
It's
given.
a great setup. I
We're
get
gonna be
right
the
off.
biggest Argos fans ever this year. I'm gonna have season tickets out to BMO Field.
Yeah,
Watch every
I'll,
Argos game.
I'll make the trip for sure. I got to see my
TFC is
Argos.
gonna be fun. You don't like soccer, but TFC is gonna be good. There's some Canada games coming up
I'm
in
not going.
March.
Not, I don't care about any of that. But Canadian football, I can get on board with that.
Any more updates? So what have we heard so far? It was basically they're canceling the first two series. Did Manfred say anything about the negotiations
So I
specifically?
so here's something Heyman said that was interesting. The small market, it's really the small market team owners that are stopping all this. They they were never going to accept this luxury tax threshold thing. And why would they do that going forward? It's still not going to, so they say a rise from 210 to 220 in 3 straight years in light of
It doesn't
players.
change for 3 years, right? That's
Yeah,
that's the
which is
offer.
absurd. No other league is like that. Every other league it goes up. Why do they get this pass where it's like it's not going to
Because they
work?
were there till 2 a.m. trying to discuss it. That's why they're working hard, Anthony. They're really trying to
So
figure
the
this out.
MLBPA just put out a statement. They Evan Drellich tweet. I don't have time to read the whole thing, but he says the MLBPA accuses the owners of attempting to break the union. Players and fans around the world who love baseball are disgusted, but sadly not surprised. Wow, that's how I feel about it. It's really just the fact they wasted all those months. If they started doing this in December,
Well, what would it solve though? Like they were all waiting to see who was going to blink first. So all of this stuff would have happened anyway. Like the players were hoping that the owners would have some kind of a, understanding that they're not going to fold for this and to maybe make a reasonable offer. And the owners are like, okay, they're going to fold eventually. And even if they don't, who cares? We want to miss the first month. It doesn't matter for us at all. So it was always going to happen like this. Like we all just fooled ourselves into thinking that there
yeah.
was some solution that was going to be found.
Well, at least
But
we'd be ahead of where we are.
I guess, but
Unless it's, I guess you could just look at it. The owners just don't care, and they're trying to break the union, which they probably are.
yeah.
Why would they don't want the union? The union ruins everything for them. It's supposed to be running a team. It's supposed to cost no money. You make a ton of it, and people should just be happy to get baseball. Doesn't matter if
Yeah,
you're good or
they're
not.
showing a clip of him right now, Rob. And the one thing too is we get too mad at commissioners because they're literally just
Yeah,
they're a
I was just
puppet
gonna
for.
say, yeah, it's not him.
It's just a
He's the
face you
guy.
can put on it.
Yeah,
But another thing
it's
too,
Rob Manfred's fault. It's not his fault.
we were talking early before the show about like imagine this in Europe, like about soccer, about us like this would imagine something like this happening where like oh we're not playing because we can't find a like there would literally be. I know there's no unions and stuff. It's a different setup and situation, but like the fact that this just happens here and it's regular now in baseball, we've had 2 in 3 years. Two shortened seasons, and the one short season was even shorter because we couldn't get an agreement, not just because of COVID. It was because of the agreement, and this one too is strictly because of an agreement. Like how that looks so stupid.
No, it looks like greed. You know, looks like the rich wanting more money, and really, it's
So
more of an owner thing, not a player thing.
I've just seen this player statement. Now they're showing it on Sportsnet. So they're gonna go to New York now and then just do random meetings whenever they feel like it. And
Yeah, whenever the owners feel like it. No, so it's funny how the mood changes so fast. Because like before, it was like the players or the owners are being bad, but right when this happens and the players don't agree to the final offer, the opinion changes, where it's now the players are completely selfish. Would I want a salary cap? No,
no,
I don't. I don't
no,
think that a salary cap just gives an excuse for the owners to not spend money. It
yeah,
doesn't
it
improve.
screws the
It
players
doesn't
more, and
improve. It does not improve competitiveness at all. We've
it
seen,
makes poor teams. It gives them excuse. It's just
yeah, like
it's
we
also
saw, like
like
the
it,
Royals won the World Series in
there's
2015.
you yeah that's a good thing with baseball too. It's unique. Like you can't just spend all the money and win. That isn't just an automatic. People think that they like to look at it. You were saying it before the show. Like people just think that because the Dodgers and Yankees spend, they win every year. But it's like that's not the case at all. Like
The
you can
Yankees
win
haven't won the
different
World Series
ways.
since 2009.
Yeah, like you have to you can implement different strategies. Obviously, spending a lot of money will help you a lot, but
Yeah,
there
the
are
best
different ways
players
to
make
win.
more money. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not for a salary cap. I think this sport doesn't need that, and that's you know.
And the people most for it are the owners who don't want to spend.
But they're kind of trying to do a salary cap in a way by like,
Well,
oh,
they
here's
have
a salary floor, but
this
we're also going to lower the threshold
the
for
CBT or whatever. That
yes.
is basically a salary cap because most of the teams don't want to go over it.
I agree.
The owners are garbage. Yep. Put them in the trash. You know, Jeff Passan, that's what he said. He said, you can't replace the 1,200 players. You'll notice a big difference. But if you replace the owners, you will notice nothing. If anything, it might be better.
Could you name more than 5 owners off the top of your head right now?
Um, Montfort, Dick Montfort, the Rockies guy. Steve Cohen.
That's the first one you knew.
Yeah, because he's been all over this.
Right.
And I know
What's Steve
really,
Cohen been saying? Mr. Players Owner, Mr. I love the
nothing.
fans. I've heard nothing from that guy. That
Crickets
fucking
for him.
fraud. Oh,
But
that
he's
drives me
not one of
nuts.
the he's spent a lot of money, so like he's not one of the people who are the problem. It's really the Dolans in Cleveland.
Well, that's one thing we're going to miss this year, too, if we don't get. I want to see how this Mets team fails this year.
Oh
Because
yeah,
it's
they're
going
going to
to.
collapse in the best way.
They're in a fun position right now where, like, they've added a bunch of pieces, but, like, I don't think it's going to work. And I really wanted to see
No, I
that
don't
play
think
out
it's going to
because
work
they're
at
a fun
all.
fan base to watch
The
melt
whole
down.
the whole team revolves around DeGrom, who just missed most of last year to injury. Scherzer, who had back problems last year. He's only, what is he, like 37? Like,
Yeah, something
and
like that.
knowing how things are, guys are on the Mets, they get hurt. That's how it goes.
By the way, how do you think he was like during the meetings?
Well, I heard he was Max Scherzer in the meeting. He
Was he
was like,
was in there a story that he was like chugging coffee out of a pot, or is that just a fake thing?
I wish that was true.
I feel like that could have been true.
No, let me see. I saw something where it was like he was being like aggressive and like just typical Max Scherzer.
He's this like I had to make a thumbnail for this, and I had two made, and the one was with Scherzer, and just his like stare is like imagine going to face him, just standing on the mound or standing at the plate,
How
just
can
looking
you
at that.
not love that guy? That guy's just
I heard someone
he's
say yesterday it was just like I could just picture he was staring at Manfred for 14 hours straight and did not take his eyes off him. Just the incredible level of intimidation that only he can provide.
it's still heartbreaking to me. But the Tigers never won a World Series during that time solely because their bullpen was a disaster. You have Verlander, him. Near they had David Price too, and they couldn't win one. And it's pretty crazy.
That was like the Jays last year.
Not quite. I mean, we
No.
we only had we had some good pitchers. We only had one Cy Young winner though.
Yeah, I was waiting to see all the free agent talk today because we did a pod last week that kind of discussed what was left in the free agency pool. And so how long you say 3 weeks? If they agree, it would take 3 weeks to get everyone into regular season baseball, or would it take longer?
I think that's what they've been saying. No,
Because there's so
I
many
found the
signings.
thing about Max Scherzer. It said SNY tweet. Scherzer has rattled some with his tough negotiating style.
How many how many tables have been flipped?
That's like the most obvious headline.
That's why the meetings were probably so short because they're like, this guy's gonna fucking hit us.
Oh yeah, for sure. They want to get away from him for a few minutes.
It's such a fun, yeah.
But yeah, I guess 3 weeks. I don't. But like they have their own spring training thing now. Players do in Arizona, so hopefully they're all working, staying in shape.
So
So
how
we
long
can
would that
start
last for? Because I was reading a little bit about that, but I didn't look too deep in.
Well, I
Like,
doubt it would go past March.
so if they're into April and May and no deal, they're just gonna have to do on their own.
I have no idea. It could be. I don't know.
And this is the other problem too for the young teams, like not just the Jays, but teams that are getting better every year and that are trying to become those elite teams. It's just another year of development. You're just stunting. It's another stunted year. It's a third year. Well, for the Jays, third year. I guess everyone else kind of had a normal offseason last year ish. But it's another year where it's like you're not developing the same as you would in a regular season. And how much does that affect you? Like, what does that look like? Are we going to see certain guys who maybe would have been better off if they had a full spring, had a full like, we're more certain what was happening? Like,
Oh, and
are
we
they going to be
use
more
that we
affected?
lose a year of control on everybody. So
We lose it, yeah.
it's a complete waste.
Yeah.
See, that's why it's smart to never try. So when a lockout comes, you don't miss out on anything.
I'm trying to see if I can see any more tweets. I'm so mad that everyone just thought Bob Nightingale had all the answers yesterday. Everyone should give their head a shake. We just made that guy a hero
Well,
for
he
no
was just
reason.
taking all what Major League Baseball wanted us to think. He was fed that, and he's like, "Yes, this is our straight." Okay, here's a Rob Manfred quote: "Last 5 years have been very difficult for the league from a revenue perspective. MLB has totaled about 43 billion during that time."
They're really good at playing the victim, eh?
It's
This is
unbelievable,
any ownership
and
group at
people
anything.
buy it. Well, what about their expenses?
Well, you should have seen. People are smarter than they used to be because remember, like quotes from the 1994 lockout, 94, right?
Yeah,
Before my time, but the 94 lockout, where you saw like newspaper clippings of people talking about the owners and the players. And they're like, the players are greedy, and like they're assholes. They should take this deal. They're so stupid. Like there was a lot of that sentiment, and now it's kind of flipped. Obviously, we have a few still. We were just discussing how the longer this goes, the more people are going to flip to that side. But
Yeah. Well, I don't remember exactly. I wasn't around during that time, but I don't remember exactly what they were fighting about. I think it was similar to
what was a
this,
strike, so it wasn't the
but
exact
it
same
was
kind of
like
thing.
from what I've read, it's like it was way worse than now. Like we should not be in a lockout now, based
No,
on the
we
differences between us and what the players want. There should not be a lockout. It's very manageable. There's It's not really impact the owner's bottom line very much. They're not that far off, really. In 1994, it was a disaster. Lost the World Series.
I don't know. That would have been kind of cool, like if we were because we're Jays fans, and if we were after the '93 seasons, like, well, we're defended 3 years technically, still holding the trophy.
I mean, that's what happened with the Raptors. Yeah, and the Blue Jays too. I mean, I
Oh
didn't.
yeah, that was the thing when the Toronto wins a championship. The
Yeah,
problems with the CBA.
and that was the year Montreal lost out. They were like the best team in
Yes,
baseball. It would have
that's
been
another
them.
thing too. We need to get back. I was a little disappointed those rumors kind of died down.
Yeah,
Like having a
I would
Montreal
love
Toronto
if the
rivalry would be
Rays were in
amazing.
Montreal. That would be awesome
We should
for
negotiate
everybody.
that. I
I
don't.
hate
I
it
think
still, but it would be good for
no. We
baseball.
want someone to hate. Like it used to be the Tigers. Like back in the day, it was like, oh, the Jays and Tigers huge rivals, and now it's like we like try to hate the Yankees and Red Sox. They don't care about us. Like their fan base
No.
kind of cheer for us. It's embarrassing. We're like the little brother
Well,
who's like, oh,
they
he's
cheer
doing
for
something.
us when it helps them out, but
No,
it's
even
not
like
like
in general, you never hear like you hear Yankee fans like, yeah, I'm happy the Jays are good. Like it's they're we don't say that about them. Like I want the same kind of feeling, and if you had a Montreal, it would be the same kind of feeling.
because the Jays just haven't earned that yet. They haven't earned that disrespect. They don't have a bunch of scumbags on their roster.
Well, we had that for a while,
Well,
or
we
for a
did.
couple years, which was the
We
best
had
two
Jose
years in
Bautista, Josh Donaldson.
the
Those are fun.
Texas rivalry. I still hate Texas too, even though now they have Simeon and they're not any of the
I
same players really.
love Semien. I like Seager too, so I don't hate him as much. Semien's just the best kind of baseball player. But yeah,
What do we? Anyone else have any more questions? Because I don't know how much more we have to say about this. It's just this, owners are garbage. That's basically what we've been discussing. But in the end, I will say as a hypocrite, if they sign the shittiest deal of all time, and I would not care because I would be like, oh, there's baseball.
no, I'd be
So
like,
who
yep, they
cares?
screwed up again, but we have baseball.
That's it. So
It's not like I care more about the players' rights over
no,
playing baseball. I have no reason to do that. I'm a fan of baseball.
no. Like we hope they get a
I'm
fair deal.
defending their
Obviously, like
plight, but bottom line, I want them to
yeah,
play.
we hope they get the best deal. But it's like in the end, it's like if you signed a shitty one, I wouldn't be up. I'd be fine with it. But I think now that you've missed opening day, you've really taken a lot of this team off the season. And who knows? I think we're looking at a June start. You think maybe a little earlier. I don't know what we're going to talk about for the channel going forward. We might do another lockout video. Who knows
A
what?
lockout for us too. Major League
Yeah, like
Baseball has locked us out of.
we're going to talk about hockey. Like what are we going to do? Like I was ready for.
You were going to say the
We had so many baseball things lined up. Like we had live streams for games. We had more off season videos. We had spring training. Everything. We had all this shit that was going to happen, and now it's like all the steam taken out. And I know a lot of people are feeling that right now. I was ready to buy flex packs. I was ready to buy the tickets, plan which games you're going to go to. Now you can't even plan which games because it's all going to be altered. Even when they start in like May or June, like is those games going to be the same, or are they going to have to like rejig the schedule, like you were saying? So there's like really nothing to look forward to until we get a resolution. And the way it looks right now, it looks like we're a long way away. The fact that they've already decided to cancel games, but at least they made everyone wait up till 3 in the morning last night. I
Yeah,
was watching you guys tonight
just
too. Yeah, we haven't had a tech. I'm waiting for someone to drop out because this happens every show.
I
Someone has
froze
like a
for a
tech.
bit. Did you not notice that?
No, it's just the way you speak. I just kind of figured it flowed
Yeah,
pretty well
my
together.
whole screen was frozen. But yeah, Steve wasn't here to mess up the
Yeah.
technical difficulties.
Yeah, if no
That's
one has
fine.
anything else, we'll sign off now.
Last
Um,
call.
yeah,
Be
we
very
will
quick.
probably be back next week. Who knows? Like we got Andrew still, who's we got to do maybe more basketball videos. But it's like again with basketball, it's like I like talking about baseball every day. I could talk about basketball,
What are we
for a
going to
little
talk
bit,
about?
but it's the same shit, right?
Literally just say
I
how
got to
poor.
talk about a poor 2 weeks from Kevin Biggio and how it's the most disastrous thing ever. That's what we got to talk about.
Well,
Not like,
I'm back on Kevin Biggio. So,
yeah,
big news.
well, no, well, yeah, that was our big. We talked about that last episode, right? How Kevin Biggio was was him and Danny Jansen were primed to figure it out this season because of certain things that happened last year. Like Kevin Biggio is going to be fully healthy this year. He played through injuries last year. That was a big issue. Maybe more
Yeah.
certainty with his position. That was another thing. No, none of that. Jose Ramirez, if the deal was signed today, Jose Ramirez would be a Blue Jay tomorrow. That's another thing we missed out on.
Yeah. The tampering would have been out of control. And that
What
would
do
have
you
been
think's been happening with that, by the way? How many deals do you think are in place that are just not going to be announced
probably a
until?
lot. The fact that they were so close on stuff before they were locked out, there's no way they were just like, you know what, we'll get back to it in March. Like,
We
no
can't
way.
talk to you.
Not allowed. Scott, you think Scott Boras is following rules like that?
Scott Boras has been making as many phone calls as the LBPA to the MLB.
They were getting
Maybe more.
Chris Bryant to the Mariners immediately after this. That's gonna happen right away. That's gonna
And
be
then Freddie Freeman to the Dodgers.
yeah.
That's another rumor that's coming out. I just care about Jose Ramirez. I just hope that comes through. Because if that comes through, the Jays are the best team in the AL East. I think they
And
still need
I'll
another
only be
piece.
mad about that if he gets traded somewhere else. If he doesn't get traded at all, I'll be like, okay, I guess they
You can
wanted
blame
too
Cleveland.
much. Yeah, if he gets traded to I don't know the Yankees somehow, or I don't know who else can pull that off, but we can't allow him to be traded to anybody else.
Oh, yeah, the Yankees will be making one of those big moves. We just got to hope it's one of those guys we don't like so that it's. I think it's going to be Matt Olson, though, which makes me a little concerned.
I don't. I think he's going to the Braves.
Is that the rumor now? Because I guess if, yeah, Freeman's gone, then they have to replace him with.
That's what I think. I don't know who they would.
I still think we should get Matt Olson. You got to hold DH.
No, I don't think so.
It makes a lot. If we got Matt Olson, it would work. Maybe not. Maybe
He'd
you'd
be a
have to figure
lefty in
something.
our lineup. Yeah, that'd be nice.
We've spent a lot of time talking about the lefty in the lineup that we just haven't been able to
But
figure out.
it's overblown. It's not as I wanted Joey Gallo last year. That's because I just like Joey Gallo. It's not necessarily going to put him over the top.
I would have loved if he made those comments as a Blue Jay.
It would have
Those
gotten
shift
way less
comments.
traction. No one would care.
No, with our fan base, it would have been like every generic sports fan would have been so mad at him. It would have been great just to hear you lose your mind. Because if you guys don't know, Anthony was the biggest Troy Tulowitzki defender while he was
Yeah,
here, and any media slight against him had to be addressed by Anthony.
I'd be
And
doing that with Joey Gallo too if we had.
that's what this. It would have been the same thing as what I'm
It would be
saying.
the same. I'm doing that now, and he's on the Yankees.
Yeah. We'll wrap it up now. I don't have anything else to say. It's disgusting, and yeah, we all got fooled. We were fooled again.
You're
We're like Charlie
bamboozled.
Brown with the football. We just keep falling for it. So, anything else you got?
Nope. I'm just going to be sad for the next
Yeah.
month or so.
Yeah. So we need Steve here to do the extras because he knows. But we'll upload this podcast. We have podcasts every week. We upload through all the regular podcasting apps. YouTube's the biggest one we're trying to grow. Trying to tilt YouTube. Trying to tilt Twitter. We're on Twitch too, apparently. Not doing anything on Twitch, really. When are you going to start
What
gaming on our
can we
Twitch?
do
You're going to start growing our Twitch channel with gaming content. That's what I heard you were going to do.
I never said that.
You put a lack of effort into it. It's just
I
like
never ever said that. That was
we'll
someone else's idea.
we have a lot of time now, so we'll figure some stuff out. But yeah, we will. You got you want to sign us off?
Yeah, I'm gonna sign us off. See you. I don't know when, because there's nothing good to talk about anymore.
It's very dark.